The Office of Personnel Management will revise its hiring policy for entry-level workers and student interns. The initiative aims to provide flexibility in hiring qualified talent. Don Kettl is the Sid Richardson Professor at the LBJ School of Public Affairs. He's former Dean of the School of Public Policy at the University of Maryland. Professor, welcome.
It's so good to be with you.
OPM has put out a new, what's called post-secondary student hiring authority. What does it do?
What it really does is it smooths the path for prospective students who are interested in federal government employment to not only get internships, but to find a fast track into federal positions on top of that. It really does a lot to try to deal with what's a long-running and increasingly difficult problem of trying to get younger workers into the federal workforce. We've gone from making it almost impossible these days to be able to hire interns compared to what it was, say, back in 2010. Back then, there were about 60,000 paid internships in the federal government each year. Now we're down to about 4,000. So it's little wonder that the federal government's having a hard time trying to recruit new talent.
Tell me a little bit more about why are those entry-level positions and intern positions difficult to fill? Is it because, you know, it's too onerous? There's just too much paperwork that students need to do.
Yeah. There's a whole collection of things. In part, the number of paid internships has gone down dramatically, and that has made it much harder to try to recruit students because free volunteer internships provide experience but don't really give students that much of an opportunity to move into federal positions. In part, it's because in the past, recruiting students has been difficult because it's been a lot of uncertainty and being able to manage the positions. The average time to hire new federal employees has been somewhere around 100 days, and students with a lot of debt hanging over their heads don't have a lot of time to wait. And on top of that, the word among students, I will tell you, is that the federal government application process is so difficult, so complex, so uncertain that students are just simply among themselves saying, you know what, I'm just going to go try to find an opportunity somewhere else. And that collection of problems, unfortunately, is robbing the federal government of the talent it so desperately needs.
So OPM says the new authority will provide, quote, additional flexibility. What is that additional flexibility? What's the change here?
The big change is that first, it creates the opportunity for agencies to create paid internships and providing more flexibility at bringing people in for those kind of positions, especially with the kind of education that students often have. And the second thing is it provides a way to allow agencies, once interns come in, to bring them into permanent federal employment and to be able to offer them positions that last for several years at least, and perhaps leading into permanent positions as well. So as a result, it provides, on the one hand, the opportunity for lots of experience on the part of the students, and on the other hand, an opportunity for agencies to decide who it is that they want to try to make offers to ongoing, and creates a smoother path into entry into federal employment. Both of them, on both sides of the equation, are tremendously important steps forward. It's just really hard to underestimate what a big deal this is, given the challenges that we face.
So do you think it's going to be effective? Is it a matter of additional flexibility to attract young entry-level employees, given the competition? There's the private sector, there's the nonprofit sector.
Yeah. And it's going to go a long way toward trying to remove one of the barriers. But I will tell you, I had a class a couple of years ago of 32 graduate students, of very, very smart kids. And I asked them, how many of you are interested in federal jobs? And it turns out that 30 of them said, no, I don't think so. And one was a kind of maybe. So I asked why, and they said two things. First, they thought it was very, very difficult, if not impossible, to navigate the hiring process. And so the uncertainty tended to drive them away. And then the second thing is that they really thought that if they got in, they wouldn't have an opportunity to do meaningful work and to have an impact.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you, Don, because obviously the goal would be to retain these students beyond graduation and into higher levels of government. What's the best way to do that?
And the best way to do that, I think, is first to lower the barriers and get people in the door. And secondly, to make sure that they have an opportunity once they come in to have truly interesting and important work. These are very smart people who have a lot to try to give in a new kind of way, especially in building the kind of networks that government needs. And so it's going to require a different approach on the part of supervisors to give them the kinds of opportunities that will come along with the things that will most attract the younger folks to be able to come in and stay. Now, one of the things that's important to note too on top of that is that the private sector has this problem as well. Younger people of Generation Z in particular can't imagine working anywhere for their entire careers. They can't even imagine working any place for more than even 5 years in many cases. And so the government has to go in with its eyes wide open, trying to bring people in, trying to attract them into federal service, providing the kind of opportunities that they have, but also recognizing that there may be a fair amount of churn because that's what's happening in the workforce in general. One of the things that the federal government focused solely on of trying to get people who are only those who will commit themselves to a lifetime career in government, they may be missing the very smartest new incoming employees who have lots of opportunities on the outside. We keep being able to get the best people that they can, providing great opportunities in the first few years, hoping that that will hook them, but knowing that if not, they've got people who are committed to the public service and transforming the ways in which agencies operate. That provides the opportunity, I think, to be able to start to crack this problem. But the idea of solely trying to focus on getting people who are committed to a lifetime is probably not the best way to try to recruit the new generation of students.
Right. All right. Well, Don, thanks very much for being on the program. Interesting topic.
Absolutely. Surely is. Good to talk with you.